New Sky News, our main stories this afternoon. Theresa May is having to fill a third cabinet vacancy in just 2 months after sacking her first Secretary of State and de facto deputy, Damian, who admitted lying about pornography found on a computer in his parliamentary office. In the past few minutes, Mr Green has tweeted to say that he was delighted by the number of friends, colleagues and constituents who have sent supportive messages today. He wishes them a happy Christmas and hopes to see them in 2018. The Prime Minister giving a press conference within the next half an hour in Warsaw. She'll be asked about that for sure. Also, Nazanin Zaghari-Ratcliffe, the British mother being held in an Iranian jail, has been told by the authorities there that she's eligible for early release. And in Australia, 2 men have been arrested after a car crashed into crowds outside a busy train station in Melbourne, injuring at least 14 people, 2 of them seriously. Well, let's stay with our top story then, the sacking of Damian. Let's bring in Sophie Walker, who's the leader of the Women's Equality Party in our Westminster studio, as you see. Welcome to you. Are you glad he's gone?
Well, he hasn't really gone, has he? I mean, what's happened here is that a minister has been asked to stand down and will continue to keep his job as an MP, who will continue to be paid as an MP, who will continue to represent that constituency. I think the woeful inadequacy of this response really means that we should be actually looking to those constituencies to have more say in whether they still want these MPs to represent them. So the Women's Equality Party this week has said that we think that the government should look to extend the powers to recall. We said at the beginning that this was, it was said at the beginning that this was going to be the next expenses scandal, but unfortunately it seems that we still care more about an MP who pays for a duck house than we do for men in Parliament who are harassing women. And so, really, I think we've got to give this back to the voters now. You know, Theresa May has the power to sack Damian Green as a minister. The voters should have the right to say if they want to sack him as an MP. He's not been sacked for harassing women, has he? No, and that's another very interesting thing. I mean, the inquiry, the investigation rather, found that Kate Maltby's allegations were plausible, but the focus has very much been on this issue of whether he lied over knowing about the police investigation finding porn on his computer. And I think we've come to a pretty pass when, frankly, we would prefer to make this about watching porn in the workplace than Parliament's woeful response to harassment of women, which is an absolute epidemic in this country. It goes through all of our businesses, all of our institutions. And both the Conservative and the Labour Party have failed to address this. We are, on a day Parliament's about to rise for the Christmas holidays, and still they are treating this as a sort of episodic thing. You know, there's the occasional issue. We ask the occasional minister to stand down. We might suspend the whip from 1 or 2 others. No MP has lost his job. And it seems to me there continues to be a huge misunderstanding or a lack of will to understand that sexual harassment is not about sex, it's about power and women's lack of it in this country. Michael Fallon lost his position as Secretary of State for Defence, didn't he? But I mean, you're urging the voters in constituencies to deselect these MPs, and in our parliamentary system they've got every right to do that. Come the next election, if they share your view, they'll be out, and that's democracy. Well, I mean, I think it's very interesting that we had a much stronger response to MPs who are fiddling their expenses. That prompted a real investigation of standards, and that's what we're saying this should do too. We would like to see, as soon as possible, an independent body so that parties are not examining themselves. We would like to see the Parliamentary Commissioner for Standards being given the remit to deal with sexual harassment as well. And we would like to see the government look at the Recall Act so that, constituents can say, well, if Theresa May doesn't want this man representing her in Cabinet, we shouldn't have to wait until the next election to have him representing us as our constituency. Sophie Walker, thanks very much indeed.